Super Series, and here's your man on the spot, Mr. Full Right himself.
Tarleton International Raceway outside Krugersdorp saw the final round of Super Series 98. And although the titles in some of the classes and categories had already been clinched, there were still a number of scores to be settled in others. In the junior motorcycle category, Gareth Swanepoel had taken his second title in a row, but things were not over yet in the battle for second position. But the champion had his strategy worked out for another win.
Well, it's actually easy. It's kind of relaxing. I'm also riding a standard class today, so I'll work hard on the standard class and the 80 class. I'm just going to take the 80 class fun today.
13 bikes on the starting grid with every youngster on his 80cc machine in the mood to see if they could do anything about Swanepoel's domination. Swanepoel, Jaco Wolmerans, Jamie Hilton and Michael Koch all got a good start. But soon it was Swanepoel on his Elna Fox Kawasaki who moved to the front as he negotiated the first few corners more smoothly than the rest. It didn't take Swanepoel long to start opening up a gap, and as has become the norm in junior motorcycle racing this year, the battle had become one to determine who would finish second. Swanepoel had already taken all 5 previous overall victories. Three riders were fighting it out for second position. Michael Koch on his Suzuki, Carl Steggert on his Yamaha, and Lawrence Mahoney on his Honda. Conditions were tricky as the track had been watered just before the start of the race, and some deep mud was in evidence in some of the corners. 4 laps into the race, and still Swanepoel continued on his victorious way. With nobody really able to challenge him, it was a good idea to give him some 200cc experience later on in the day. The race had by now become somewhat of a procession, with Steggert in second, ahead of Koch, Mahoney and John-Paul de Beer on his Honda. In the tighter part of the circuit, which is situated just next to the well-known drag racing strip at Tarleton International, young de Beer seemed able to get closer to his more experienced competitors, and he was starting to become a menace to Mahoney. Koch wasn't being threatened in third position, as Mahoney and de Beer were keeping each other busy. But coming up to a back marker, de Beer and Mahoney touched, with the resultant tumble costing de Beer 6 positions. No matter how much protective gear you wear, it still hurts, and it takes lots of courage to get back into the race. The unfortunate Gert Pretorius himself came off his Honda a little later, but nothing could stop the flying Gareth Swanepoel, who racked up another victory in the junior motorcycle category. Having made his point, Swanepoel would not be in action in this class again, leaving it up to the likes of Steggert, Koch, Mahoney, Darrell Fitzgerald and Hilton to fight amongst themselves. We pick up the action in the third race of the day, on lap 3, with Carl Steggert on his Yamaha leading Jamie Hilton. Behind them, a nice little battle for third had developed between Michael Koch on his Suzuki and Lawrence Mahoney on another Suzuki. With Swanepoel taking part in the 200cc race, it was rather refreshing to see some new names at the front of the field. Steggert had shown his potential and unmistakable talent in the past and was reveling in the fact that he was leading a race at long last. Hilton had also been a consistent front runner and had the bit between his teeth to try and catch the leader. The battle for third was becoming a close affair as Mahoney was starting to close in on Koch. But on lap 6, disaster struck for the leader as Steggert lost his front wheel on the slippery surface, coming down hard and losing 3 places as first Hilton, then Koch and Mahoney came past. Motorsport is a cruel school of life. Now nothing could stop Hilton as he not only took the lead, but also the checkered flag for the first time in his career, with some great performances also coming from Koch, Mahoney, a recovering Steggert, Vernon Lowe and John-Paul de Beer. So the final point standings for the season saw Jamie Hilton dropping down from second to fifth, with Michael Koch moving up to second ahead of the consistent Carl Steggert. In the Super Quad category, things were far less clear-cut as any of the top 6 riders were still theoretically in with a chance of taking the championship.
It's going to be a good day. Going to go out there, try my best, see what happens later on, try to catch Evan. Stick with him today, not going to get past him today. Going to give him a good go.
Last year, Evan Hutchison was also leading the championship, but lost the title chase during the very last meeting, and he was determined not to let it happen again. The Line-X Royal Purple Racing Yamaha Blaster rider immediately shot into the lead, ahead of Gianni Giannocaro and Line-X Yamaha rider Clayton Duplessis. Hutchison opened a lead immediately, but Duplessis launched a serious attack on Giannocaro, as he wasn't keen on seeing the championship leader disappearing into the distance. Giannocaro had no choice but to let Duplessis through, and now he had only one thing on his mind, to catch and pass the flying Evan Hutchison. Conditions were dry and dusty, causing a visibility problem for the riders. Hutchison has had another very good season this year, having taken overall victory in all the previous rounds. But Duplessis had been breathing down his neck all year, trailing by only 26 points going into the final round of 3 races. With a maximum of 90 points up for grabs, anything could still happen. 4 laps into the race, and still this battle for the lead was raging between the 2 top championship contenders, Evan Hutchison and Clayton Duplessis. Duplessis was trying his level best to find a way past the leader, but Hutchison is very experienced and knew all he had to do was to follow his lines. Behind them, Gianni Giannocaro was still in 3rd position, but the battle for 4th was hotting up as Glenn Julian of the 3rd Line-X Yamaha machine was being challenged by Ricky Giannocaro. Giannocaro eventually did get past Julian, but unfortunately Julian disappeared and finished last. The battle for the lead continued as Clayton Duplessis desperately tried to stay close to Evan Hutchison, trying to force him into a mistake. But that didn't happen as Hutchison held out to take the checkered flag. So Hutchison extended his championship lead over Duplessis by another 2 points, and he seemed inexorably on his way to the title. Good performances also came from brothers Gianni and Ricky Giannocaro. Race 3 now, and on the 3rd lap it was business as usual, with Hutchison leading this battle for 2nd between teammate Duplessis and Gianni Giannocaro. Duplessis had won the previous race ahead of Hutchison, pulling back those 2 points he lost in the first race. But only a victory for Duplessis and a non-finish for Hutchison would stop the Line-X Royal Purple Racing man from taking the title. Hutchison was probably grateful to Giannocaro for keeping Line-X Yamaha rider Duplessis busy and allowing him to concentrate on not making any mistakes. But for Duplessis, it wasn't over yet. At the back of the field, a struggling Glenn Julian of Line-X Yamaha was in 5th position, here trying to get past Henry Bowman. But Hutchison was controlling the race from the front of the field as Giannocaro launched another attack on Duplessis. His efforts were to no avail, and no mistakes from the new champion as he took another victory ahead of Duplessis, the Giannocaro brothers, Julian and Doran Barrigo.
No, I had a lot of fun out there. It's been a long, hard year. It hasn't been easy the whole year. Although we won a lot of the races, we don't get a lot of points for winning over the person in 2nd, so it's been tough to the end. But it was good that I could get out there and go flat out. I wanted to give it everything I had. I got a nice lead. I was enjoying my bike, doing something that I love. And I'm very happy. We've taken the championship.
So the final points margin was 28 after 18 races, with Gianni Giannocaro moving up from 6th to 4th. Back to the two-wheel brigade now, and in the 200cc category, Freddie Fourie had the best chance, but theoretically any of the top 5 could still take the title. A disappointingly small field of only 8 motorcycles came under starters' orders for the first race of the day, but a point of interest would be the performance of young Gareth Swanepoel, who was making his racing debut on a 200 machine under the Elna Fox Kawasaki banner. Even though he did get the whole shot, he lost 4 places in the first corner when the lead was taken over by Ryan Hunt on his Fuchs Silkeline AGA Panasonic KTM. Hunt was being chased by championship leader Fourie on his Elna Fox Kawasaki, ahead of Ian Roberts on his Suzuki, Brett Gray on his Elna Fox Kawasaki, and the similar machine of the newly crowned junior motorcycle champion. Hunt had missed out on 2 events this year due to other racing commitments and had lost all chances of taking the title, but he was going to make life as difficult as possible for Fourie. Swanepoel was still coming to grips with the power and handling of his new bike under racing conditions, but was showing just why he's been rated so highly. He was being hard pushed by Neville Bradshaw on his Suzuki. Fourie and Hunt were still engaged in this furious battle for the lead, neither of the two willing to give an inch. The 200cc category has traditionally been one of the most competitive in Super Series 98, but with many of the top names not in this race, it was up to the top 6 to provide the entertainment. And entertain they certainly did, as Hunt had to pull out all the tricks in the book to hold off Fourie. But a brilliant move down the inside of the tight right-hander at the end of the main straight put Fourie into the lead. The championship leader immediately capitalized and started to open up a lead over his main adversary. Six laps into the race, and still this bitter battle for the lead was raging between Freddie Fourie and Ryan Hunt. The different tactics were very clear. Hunt was attacking into every corner, trying to prize an opening from Fourie's hands, while the race leader was taking his lines, forcing Hunt to find his own way past. Behind the two leaders on a Suzuki, Ian Roberts was still in 3rd position, ahead of Brett Gray, who was set to move up in the championship because his main competitors had not entered for this race. Neville Bradshaw had moved past Gareth Swanepoel into 5th position, but all eyes were on the best dice of the day, as Hunt tried and tried at every opportunity to get past Fourie. The points leader knew that he couldn't afford not to score the maximum points, as an accident in the remaining 2 races could easily put him out of action, which would be disastrous for his title aspirations. Fourie showed tremendous maturity in the face of the race-long onslaught from Ryan Hunt, who just didn't have an answer to the fine racing skills displayed by his younger adversary. Fourie took the victory, ahead of Hunt, Roberts, Gray, Bradshaw and Swanepoel, with Damian Johnson and Gary Brookstein both on Hondas rounding out the field. Lap 2 of the 3rd race now, and things were looking decidedly different from before, as Ryan Hunt on the Fuchs Silkeline AGA Panasonic KTM had opened up a substantial lead over Brett Gray on his Elna Fox Kawasaki. Hunt had won the 2nd race ahead of Fourie, who was now involved in a titanic struggle for 3rd place with Neville Bradshaw on his Suzuki and Ian Roberts on another Suzuki. Still, the championship leader, the Elna Fox Kawasaki rider, was in no mood to be fighting for the minor placings. Oblivious of what was transpiring behind him, in fact he probably couldn't care less, Hunt concentrated on controlling the race from the front, while it seemed as if Fourie had finally succeeded in breaking away from Bradshaw and Roberts. His next target was his teammate Brett Gray, son of former Superbike great Rodney, and one of the stars on the horizon of South African off-road racing. Roberts and Bradshaw had no intention of letting him go though, and were very much in touch. Fourie always seems to be in the thick of things, and while Hunt and Gray pulled away at the front, all eyes were on this battle for 3rd, as Fourie tried not only to close the gap to the 2nd place man, but also to keep Roberts at bay. This battle raged throughout the race, allowing Gray and Hunt to consolidate their positions ahead of Fourie and Roberts. But in the end, Fourie couldn't hold on to 3rd and conceded to the charging Roberts. With Hunt winning 2 races on the day, he took overall victory, but Fourie's 2nd place overall was enough to ensure him of the title.
I just basically, like I said, needed 9 points to win. I had a very good first heat. Me and Hunt had a good tussle, and the 2nd race I came 2nd, which I'm very happy with. Yeah, I just need to stay consistent and get the points, that's all.
Brett Gray moved up from 5th to 2nd, 73 points behind Fourie, pushing Leonard Peterson down to 3rd, while Hunt moved up from 9th to 6th. Next week, we'll bring you highlights of the open motorcycles, the pro quads, clubmans, and the car categories.